They definitely had, the play in the first for sure. Had the puck. We didn't check it off them, and then when we did, we didn't do anything with the puck. Didn't get up the ice as a five-man unit and create anything. We had 5 shots on net, and a couple chances, but not enough. Tough bounce on the second goal off the stanchion there, but second was a good period, and the third we took 2 penalties. I thought killed our momentum a little bit. Didn't get going after that.
A quiet locker room followed a loud warning. The Toronto Maple Leafs had just fallen to the Montreal Canadiens, and the losing streak grew again. Cameras waited outside the room while head coach Craig Berube stepped forward. His message focused on effort, puck battles, and discipline. The numbers from the game supported his words, and what he said next began shifting attention inside the Maple Leafs locker room. The Toronto Maple Leafs entered the matchup with the Montreal Canadiens during one of their most difficult stretches of the season. The team had already lost several consecutive games before facing Montreal. When the defeat extended the streak to 8 losses, attention quickly moved toward the locker room and the response from head coach Craig Berube.
It's tough to say, but it's hard to win in this league if you don't get it. And you don't have to dominate a period, but you have to be in the game. You gotta create and you gotta defend. And there's throughout this stretch, there's been a lot of good hockey, but then there's that stretch of if it's a period or a 10-minute stretch and a period where these teams score 2-3 goals on us.
During his post-game media availability, Berube focused on the team's overall performance and the pattern that appeared during several recent games. The coach explained that the Maple Leafs have experienced short stretches of play where opponents score multiple goals in a short period of time. Berube explained that throughout this stretch, there has been a lot of good hockey, but then there's a period or a 10-minute stretch where teams score 2 or 3 goals. Those moments have become costly for Toronto. Several recent games followed the same structure. The Maple Leafs remained competitive during large portions of the game, but fell behind during quick scoring runs by their opponents. Those bursts were difficult for the team to recover from. Berube also addressed the team's offensive struggles during the losing streak. Toronto created scoring chances in several games, but did not convert enough of them into goals. Berube explained that right now the team cannot find the back of the net. The coach said that when scoring becomes difficult, teams must rely on defensive play in order to stay in games. He explained that when this situation happens, the team must focus on keeping the puck out of their own net as much as possible. Toronto's recent results show how that challenge has affected the team. During the 8-game losing streak, the Maple Leafs allowed several multi-goal periods, placing the team in difficult positions early in games. When opponents built early leads, Toronto was forced to play from behind for long stretches. The loss to Montreal followed that same pattern. The Canadiens scored 2 goals during the first period and controlled possession for much of the opening 20 minutes. Montreal outshot Toronto 18-5 during that period, which Berube later identified as a major reason the team fell behind. After the game, Berube described the opening period directly. He explained that the Canadiens clearly controlled the play in the first period. He also said Montreal had the puck most of the time and Toronto struggled to take it away. When Toronto did gain possession, the team failed to create effective plays with the puck. Those comments reflected a wider concern during the losing streak. Toronto struggled to control puck possession in several recent games, and Berube's message focused on the level of effort required to correct that trend. Craig Berube continued his message by explaining how the team must respond during these difficult stretches. The coach said the Maple Leafs cannot depend only on offense when scoring becomes limited. Instead, he pointed to discipline, defensive structure, and stronger effort throughout the lineup. Berube explained that the team does not need to dominate every period, but the team must defend properly. Those words showed a clear expectation from the coaching staff. When a team struggles to score, defensive responsibility becomes more important. Berube explained that controlling the puck and limiting scoring chances must become the priority during games like these. During the Montreal matchup, Berube said the team struggled to move the puck effectively during the early part of the game. That problem slowed Toronto's transition from defense to offense. He explained that the team did not move up the ice as a 5-man unit and failed to create consistent offensive pressure. The coach also pointed to the number of shots produced during the period. Toronto recorded only 5 shots on net, along with a few scoring chances, but Berube said that total was not enough. Those numbers matched the official statistics from the game. Montreal recorded 18 shots during the opening period, while Toronto produced only 5. That difference in pressure allowed the Canadiens to establish their early lead. Berube also discussed the middle portion of the game and said Toronto showed improvement during the second period. He described the second period as a strong stretch for the Maple Leafs. Toronto reduced the deficit when William Nylander scored his 22nd goal of the season. The goal extended Nylander's scoring streak to 6 games and briefly gave the Maple Leafs momentum. However, the momentum did not continue into the final period. Berube explained that penalties in the third period interrupted Toronto's push to tie the game. He said the team took 2 penalties during the third period, and those penalties slowed the team's momentum. After that, Toronto struggled to regain control of the game. The coach also spoke about the performance of forward Bo Gruel, pronounced Bo Gru, who entered the lineup after being called up earlier in the day. Berube said the forward performed very well during the game. He explained that he was very pleased with Gruel, along with teammates Quillen, pronounced Quillen, and Cowboy, because all 3 players performed well during the game. Even with those individual efforts, the final result remained unchanged. Montreal secured the 3-1 victory when Jake Evans, pronounced Jake Evans, scored an empty net goal with less than 30 seconds remaining in the game. That goal confirmed the result and extended Toronto's losing streak to 8 games. Following the game, Craig Berube delivered one final message about the effort required from the entire roster. He explained clearly that the team needs more players to dig in and compete harder.
Yeah. Confirm or deny, both Austin Matthews and William Nylander start next season as Maple Leafs.
Wow. What a horny little question that is. I'm going to confirm it because I don't think anybody in the organization has the stomach for anything else, to be perfectly honest with you. If it was me, they both would not have the uniform on, but I think they both will.
Shock and concern spread across the hockey world as pressure rises around the Toronto Maple Leafs' biggest stars. Austin Matthews, the team captain, and William Nylander, the club's top point producer this season, are suddenly at the center of a growing debate about Toronto's future. Reports, statistics, and analyst warnings are now driving intense discussion, and the situation inside the Leafs organization is drawing even more attention. Serious discussion has started around the Toronto Maple Leafs. After a difficult stretch during the 2025-26 NHL season, the team entered the year with expectations of playoff contention. However, Toronto scored 193 goals, while allowing 208 goals against opponents. The negative goal difference raised concerns among analysts who follow the team closely. Austin Matthews remains the central figure of the franchise. The Maple Leafs named Matthews team captain in August 2024. The organization also committed to him with a 4-year contract extension worth $53 million signed in 2023. The deal carries an annual value of $13.25 million and runs through the 2027-28 NHL season. Matthews also holds the record as the Maple Leafs' all-time leading goal scorer. Despite his career achievements, Matthews experienced a noticeable scoring drought during the season. Reports documented an 11-game stretch where the captain did not score a goal. Such streaks attract attention because Matthews has previously ranked among the NHL's most consistent goal scorers. During the 2023-24 season, he recorded 69 goals, one of the highest totals in modern NHL history. Following one loss during the season, Matthews addressed the team's performance directly. According to Postgame reports, Matthews described the performance as embarrassing. The comment circulated widely across hockey coverage because it came from the team captain during a difficult period for the club. Captains often speak publicly after losses, and Matthews' statement reflected frustration inside the locker room. While Matthews faced scoring challenges, William Nylander continued producing offense for Toronto. Nylander recorded 55 points during the same stretch of the season. His total included 36 assists, which ranked among the highest numbers on the Maple Leafs roster. The production confirmed his role as one of the team's most important offensive players. Nylander also addressed the team's situation during media discussions. When speaking about the difficult stretch, Nylander said the team was trying to stay positive while working to improve results. His comment appeared in coverage discussing the Maple Leafs' attempt to recover from recent losses. The remarks showed how players inside the organization were responding publicly during the season. At the same time, changes appeared in the team's lineup. Head coach Craig Berube separated Matthews and Nylander onto different lines during games. Coaches often make such adjustments when searching for new scoring combinations. The decision became another major talking point in coverage surrounding the Maple Leafs. Discussion around the Maple Leafs intensified further after comments from NHL analyst Paul Bissonnette. During a segment discussing Toronto's long-term outlook, Bissonnette warned that the franchise could face a rebuild if Auston Matthews ever left the organization. The statement quickly spread across hockey media platforms. Analysts began examining how much of the team's structure depends on the presence of its captain. Matthews has been the centerpiece of Toronto's roster since entering the league in 2016. The forward won the Hart Memorial Trophy as the NHL's most valuable player in 2022. He also won the Rocket Richard Trophy multiple times as the league's top goal scorer. These achievements placed Matthews among the most productive players in the NHL during the past decade. Because of that record, any change in Matthews' performance immediately becomes a major topic in league coverage. The 11-game goal drought reported during the season received strong attention from hockey reporters. Matthews finished the stretch with 26 goals during the season. While still a strong total, it marked a slower pace compared with his previous record-setting seasons. During the same period, William Nylander remained one of the most reliable offensive players for Toronto. Nylander's 55 points placed him among the team's leaders in scoring. His 36 assists showed consistent involvement in goal creation. Playmaking statistics, like assists, often indicate a player's ability to drive offense across different line combinations. Toronto's coaching staff continued searching for answers as the season progressed. Head coach Craig Berube adjusted forward lines several times during games. One of the most discussed changes involved separating Matthews and Nylander into different units. Coaches often separate star players to distribute scoring ability throughout the lineup. The move signaled an attempt to generate offense across multiple lines. The Maple Leafs organization also remains financially invested in both players. Matthews' contract runs through the 2027-28 NHL season with an annual value of $13.25 million. Nylander signed an 8-year contract extension worth $92 million in January 2024. That agreement carries an annual value of $11.5 million and extends through the 2031-32 season. Large contracts for star players often increase attention during periods of inconsistent results. The Maple Leafs continue to build their roster around elite forwards, including Matthews and Nylander. Both players entered the league during Toronto's rebuilding period and played key roles in the team's return to regular playoff appearances. As the season continued, standings, position, lineup adjustments, and public comments from players and analysts kept the focus on Toronto's core roster. Hockey coverage across North America continued tracking the situation closely as the Maple Leafs attempted to stabilize their season.
Well, whether it is or not, I mean, we're pros. We're all you know, we all have to do our job, and you know, you got to just stick with the plan, and we don't, and this is what happens. So give up odd man rushes in the third, never gave up one the whole game, and then we give up, I don't know, 2 or 3 that period. That's in our net a couple times, and then in the third period, it's just a commitment to doing things hard and blocking shots and things like that. And we didn't do it, and they scored.
Shock spread across the hockey world when Toronto's head coach finally spoke openly. The frustration inside the Maple Leafs locker room was no longer quiet. Cameras were on when Toronto's head coach spoke openly about his own team, and his words were direct and emotional. The message spread across hockey media within minutes. The head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Craig Berube, had broken his silence about the team's struggles. The moment came after a difficult night for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The team had just lost 6-2 to the New York Rangers. Reporters gathered around head coach Craig Berube for the post-game press conference. The atmosphere was serious because the Maple Leafs had dropped several games during the stretch, and questions about performance were building.
You mentioned this has happened a few times this season. Are you frustrated at all with?
Definitely frustrated, pissed off. You know, it's you know, the games are right there, and you know, we don't push as a team hard enough to win them.
Berube answered those questions with direct language. He told reporters, "I'm definitely frustrated and pissed off." The comment was reported by Maple Leafs Shot Stove during coverage of the team's losing streak. The statement quickly spread through hockey media because coaches often avoid using such blunt words about their own roster. Berube did not avoid the issue. He continued explaining what he saw during recent games. According to Berube, the Maple Leafs were not far away from winning many of those matches. The team showed strong play for large parts of the game. However, the coach said the final push was missing, and he explained this clearly during the same press conference. Berube told reporters, "The games are right there, but we don't push hard enough to win them." That quote became one of the most repeated lines from the media session. It reflected the coach's belief that effort late in games was the biggest problem. The loss to the Rangers showed the pattern he described. Toronto competed early in the game. The team created scoring chances and kept the score close, but the momentum changed later. The Rangers increased their pressure during the third period. They scored multiple goals and pulled away on the scoreboard. Berube pointed directly to that part of the game. He said the team wasn't ready to play the right way in the third period. His statement focused on how the Maple Leafs handled the final stage of the match. According to the coach, the structure and intensity dropped during those minutes. The comments from Craig Berube came during his first season leading the Toronto Maple Leafs. The organization hired him in May 2024 after searching for a coach with championship experience. Berube brought a strong reputation from his time with the St. Louis Blues. In 2019, he guided the Blues to victory in the Stanley Cup final. That title became the first Stanley Cup in the history of the Blues franchise. Because of that record, Toronto expected Berube to bring discipline and structure to the roster. The Maple Leafs already had high-profile talent. One of the most important players on the team is captain Austin Matthews. Matthews has been one of the NHL's top goal scorers in recent seasons. He won the Hart Memorial Trophy in 2022 as the league's most valuable player. As Captain Matthews carries responsibility inside the locker room and on the ice, the Maple Leafs front office is led by General Manager Brad Treliving. Treliving manages roster decisions and long-term planning for the team. His role includes building a lineup capable of competing for the Stanley Cup. When results fall below expectations, attention often turns toward the front office and coaching staff. During the press conference, Berube did not focus on individual players. Instead, he described the issue as a team-wide problem. His explanation centered on consistency. According to the coach, the Maple Leafs showed strong hockey during parts of the game, but failed to keep the same level of play through all three periods. Berube explained that the team sometimes lost momentum when something went wrong during a game. If the opponent scored, the Maple Leafs struggled to respond with the same energy. That situation allowed opposing teams to gain control of the pace. The Rangers game provided a clear example as New York increased its scoring during the final period. The Maple Leafs compete in the Atlantic Division of the NHL's Eastern Conference. The division includes teams such as the Boston Bruins, the Florida Panthers, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Each season, the standings remain tight. Small stretches of wins or losses can quickly change a team's position. That context made Berube's message important inside the organization. His statements focused on correcting the details that decide close games. The coach repeated that many recent matches were within reach, but without stronger effort in the final minutes, the results continued to move in the wrong direction as the season progressed.
What's your sense of Austin and how he's handling this?
He's been fine. Obviously, he's not happy about things and losing teammates too in the situation that we're in. He's like everybody else. Nobody is happy with that. But like I said, we can't change that. We only can go forward here, and what we do on the ice is important, and how we play is important.
The pressure on Austin Matthews is reaching another level in Toronto. The Toronto Maple Leafs captain has been one of the NHL's most reliable scorers for years, and the team's recent struggles have placed him directly at the center of a growing controversy. Comments from management and reactions across hockey media have only increased the attention, and now the story around Matthews is taking another turn. The recent struggles of the Toronto Maple Leafs have pushed team captain Austin Matthews into the center of a growing discussion across NHL media. Toronto entered the season with high expectations after several strong offensive seasons led by Matthews. He previously recorded multiple 50-goal seasons and won the Rocket Richard Trophy as the league's top goal scorer. Because of those numbers, Matthews has remained one of the most visible players in the NHL. During the current stretch of games, Toronto lost several key matchups and slipped in the standings, and the drop in results increased pressure on both the coaching staff and the team's core players. As Captain Matthews became the primary focus of that attention, his scoring pace slowed compared to earlier parts of the season, and analysts began tracking his production during each game of the losing run. The situation drew direct comments from Toronto Maple Leafs general manager Brad Treliving. During an interview covered by Maple Leafs media outlets, Treliving addressed Matthews' performance and the broader team structure. Treliving said Austin is entering his prime, but the team needs to find ways to support. The statement shifted part of the conversation toward the roster around Matthews, rather than placing responsibility on the captain alone. Treliving's remarks also confirmed that the organization still views Matthews as a central player in Toronto's long-term plan. Matthews signed a major contract extension with the Maple Leafs, keeping him as the face of the franchise for the coming seasons. His role as captain places him at the front of both the team's offense and its public leadership during difficult periods. Matthews responded to the losing stretch during interviews following recent games, and he spoke about the team's need to regain momentum as the schedule continued. Matthews said the team must focus on effort and compete harder every night, and he also explained that players needed to control what we can control and keep pushing. Those comments reflected the message coming from the Leafs captain as the team attempted to recover points in the standings. As the losing stretch continued, the discussion around Austin Matthews moved beyond scoring numbers and into leadership. Matthews became captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs before the start of the current season, which placed him in the role of the main voice for the team during both wins and losses. That position carries responsibility inside the locker room and also in front of the media. During the recent slump, Matthews continued appearing in post-game interviews where questions focused on the team's performance and direction. At the same time, Toronto's position in the standings became another measurable part of the story. The Maple Leafs had entered the season expected to compete near the top of the Atlantic Division, but instead, the team dropped several games in a short span, which reduced their margin in the playoff race. Each loss increased pressure on the roster and coaching staff as the schedule moved forward. Brad Treliving addressed the situation again while discussing the team's overall performance. In the same coverage where he spoke about Matthews, Treliving said the situation hasn't worked right. His comment referred to the team's results during the losing run, and the general manager avoided blaming a single player and instead pointed to the broader structure of the roster and the need for better results across the lineup. While those remarks circulated through hockey media, another topic surrounding Matthews appeared in reports. A former Maple Leafs player criticized Matthews for using an iPad on the bench during games. The device is commonly used by players and coaches to review shifts and analyze plays during NHL games. However, the criticism gained attention after the former player described the habit by saying it was like an addiction, and the comment quickly spread across hockey discussion platforms. The reaction added another layer of attention around the Leafs captain during the same stretch of games. Matthews remained one of the most productive players on the roster, despite the team's results. His career statistics still place him among the league's leading goal scorers over the past several seasons, and because of that history, every game during the slump drew closer analysis of his shots, scoring chances, and time on ice. At the same time, the Maple Leafs faced issues across several parts of their lineup. Defensive breakdowns allowed opponents to score multiple goals in recent games, and offensive support from other lines also declined during the stretch. Those factors combined to create the results that pushed the team further down the standing. Inside the locker room, Matthews continued delivering the same message about effort and response, but with every loss added to the schedule, pressure surrounding the captain and the Maple Leafs organization continued to grow.
Why do you believe Craig is still the right coach for this team?
Well, like everything else, Luke, we all take responsibility for it, and I think Craig's a terrific coach. It hasn't worked, right? So when it doesn't work, we all share a blame, and we all share responsibility in it, right? So it starts with myself, it's the coaches, it's the players.
Pressure is exploding around the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the team is suddenly under intense attention across the National Hockey League. A difficult losing streak pushed the organization into the spotlight, and criticism began spreading quickly across hockey media. Then, the general manager stepped forward and said something that surprised many reporters. Brad Treliving spoke openly about the struggles, the coach, and who should carry the blame. What he revealed about Craig Berube changed the conversation inside Toronto.
Listen, I'll answer all the questions and take responsibility for our season. I don't look at today's the autopsy day. We've got 19 games to go. But I think there's a whole host of reasons. I'll take responsibility. You know, we met earlier in the year through about the 20 game mark where we got off to a slow start. And again, the failures here start with me.
The Toronto Maple Leafs entered the season with strong expectations, and the roster included Captain Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and John Tavares. The organization expected to compete near the top of the Atlantic Division. Instead, the team fell into a difficult stretch that raised concern across the league. During that stretch, the Maple Leafs lost several games in a short period, and the team struggled with consistency on both offense and defense. Injuries also affected the lineup, which created even more problems for the coaching staff. Forward Austin Matthews missed games earlier in the season with a lower body injury, while William Nylander also missed time because of injury concerns. Defenseman Chris Tanev was ruled out for a significant period because of a groin injury. These absences created instability in the roster while the team was already trying to recover from losses. The situation placed heavy attention on the coaching staff. Craig Berube was in his second season as head coach of the Maple Leafs. Berube joined Toronto after previously coaching the St. Louis Blues, and in 2019, he led the Blues to the Stanley Cup championship. His reputation in the National Hockey League is connected to physical hockey and very direct communication with players. As the losses continued, questions started appearing in media coverage about the future of the coaching staff. Reporters asked whether Toronto might consider another coaching change if the results did not improve. That question quickly became the main topic surrounding the team. General manager Brad Treliving addressed the issue during a media availability with reporters. He began by acknowledging the team's poor start to the season, and he accepted responsibility for the situation. Treliving told reporters, "We are not where we want to be or where we believed we would be, and we have underperformed, and I take responsibility." The statement immediately shifted attention toward management accountability, because in the National Hockey League, the general manager is responsible for building the roster and making major decisions about the coaching staff and player contracts. Treliving's comment placed part of the responsibility directly on the front office. Reporters then asked about head coach Craig Berube because speculation had started that the losing streak could put Berube's position at risk. Treliving responded by defending the head coach and explaining that the organization still believed in his leadership. Treliving told reporters Craig did not become a bad coach overnight. He also explained that solving the problem would require effort from the entire organization, including the players, the coaching staff, and management. Treliving said, "The way out of it for me is not pointing fingers, but digging in together, and I have all the faith in the world in him." Those remarks made it clear that management was not placing the blame on the coach alone. The message from the front office was direct, and the Maple Leafs would attempt to correct their performance as a group. However, the head coach did point to problems with execution during game. Berube explained that coaches can provide systems and instructions, but the players must supply intensity and competitiveness during each shift. His comments focused on what he believed the team needed to change immediately. Berube told reporters they have to bring the heart and competitiveness that is needed, and they have to bring that, and they have to want to bring that. The coach also explained that emotional speeches alone cannot fix performance problems on the ice, and he described the limits of coaching influence once a game begins. Berube said, "We can bring the X's and O's, and I can go in there and yell and scream at them all I want, but that does not do anything either." Those remarks highlighted clear frustration inside the coaching staff. According to Berube, the team was not playing the type of hockey required to win games in the National Hockey. The coach pointed to decision-making with the puck as one of the key problems during the losing stretch. Berube explained that the team needed to simplify its style of play, and he said the Maple Leafs were trying to make complicated plays instead of focusing on direct puck movement. That approach often led to turnovers and scoring chances for opposing teams. He told reporters, "Being simple and direct as a team, we are not doing it right now." The coach then described how those mistakes were affecting the team defensively, and when the Maple Leafs failed to move the puck safely out of their zone, opponents quickly turned those situations into attacks. Berube said, "It is coming back the other way on us, and it is going in our net." The situation created a difficult moment for the organization because the Maple Leafs remain one of the most closely followed teams in the National Hockey League. The franchise has not won the Stanley Cup since 1967, and because of that history, every losing streak quickly becomes a major topic across Canadian hockey media. At the same time, the team's roster includes some of the most recognized players in the league. Austin Matthews serves as the captain and remains one of the top goal scorers in the National Hockey League, while Mitch Marner and William Nylander also play major roles in the offense. When results fall short of expectations, attention often shifts toward leadership and performance inside the locker room. And while Brad Treliving publicly defended Craig Berube, the pressure surrounding the Toronto Maple Leafs continued to grow across the league. Vanessa P., the girlfriend of Austin Matthews, broke her silence only days after the Olympic final in Milan. The Instagram post showed Matthews celebrating his gold medal with her standing beside him. The caption was short, but the photos confirmed the relationship publicly for the first time. Within hours, the images were spreading across hockey coverage and social media. Austin Matthews entered the 2026 Winter Olympics as captain of Team USA. The tournament took place in Milan, Italy. The United States advanced through the competition and reached the gold medal game against Canada. The final game ended in overtime. Team USA defeated Canada 2-1 to win the Olympic title. The victory delivered the first Olympic gold medal for the United States men's hockey team in 46 years. Matthews played an important role during the tournament. He recorded 3 goals and 4 assists across the Olympic Games. His performance placed him among the leading contributors for Team USA during the event. Images from Milan showed Matthews celebrating the victory with teammates on the ice. The medal ceremony followed the final game. Matthews stood at center ice wearing the gold medal around his neck. At that moment, the story surrounding Matthews Matthews, focused on the Olympic victory. But only a short time later, another development appeared online. Vanessa P. Uno posted photos on Instagram from Milan. The images showed Matthews standing beside her while still wearing the Olympic gold medal. The post included a short caption, "A month to remember forever." The photos confirmed something that had not been publicly discussed before. They showed Matthews and P. Uno together during the Olympic celebration. The images spread quickly across hockey coverage and social media platforms. Fans began sharing the photos soon after they appeared online. For many followers of the Maple Leafs captain, the post represented the first public confirmation of the relationship. And that is where the story connects back to the title. Because the moment fans describe as PU, no breaking silence, came directly from that Instagram post. Matthews had rarely spoken publicly about his personal life. Earlier reports had linked him to Emily Rutledge, a therapist based in California. However, Matthews had not publicly discussed that relationship in detail. Because of that history, the Milan photos stood out. They showed a personal moment that had not been visible before. The Olympic tournament had just ended. Team USA had just defeated Canada in the final, and Matthews had just stood on the ice holding a gold medal. Then the photos appeared online. They showed Matthews smiling while standing beside P. Uno during the celebration in Milan. The Olympic medal remained visible in several of the images. Fans quickly began reacting in the comment section of the post. Many congratulated Matthews for both the Olympic victory and the moment shared in the photo. The reaction spread quickly across sports media outlets. But there was another reason the moment gained attention. Matthews has built a reputation for keeping his personal life private. Throughout most of his NHL career, he has focused public attention on hockey. That approach made the Milan photos unusual. They showed a side of Matthews that had rarely appeared publicly before. And that brings the story back again to the title. Because the post from P. Uno acted as the first public confirmation of the relationship. The caption remained simple: "A month to remember forever." The message referred to the period surrounding the Olympic tournament. But the images also showed the celebration that followed the gold medal victory. At the same time, Matthews continued preparing to return to the NHL schedule. The Olympic tournament took place during a break in the NHL season. After the event ended, Matthews returned to Toronto to rejoin the Maple Leafs. The NHL schedule resumed soon after the Olympic Games concluded. Matthews entered the Olympic break as one of the leading offensive players on the Maple Leafs roster. During the 2025-2026 season, he recorded 26 goals and 25 assists in 55 games. Those numbers placed him among the team's top scorers. Earlier in January 2026, Matthews had also reached a major milestone with the franchise. He scored his 421st career goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That goal made him the all-time leader in goals for the organization. The previous record belonged to Mats Sundin. Matthews reached the milestone in 664 NHL games. The achievement strengthened his role as one of the most important players in the history of the franchise. Matthews also carries one of the largest contracts in the league. His deal with the Maple Leafs carries an annual value of $13.25 million and runs through the 2027-2028 NHL season. That contract reflects his position as the central player on the Toronto roster. Because of that role, events connected to Matthews often draw attention from fans and media. The Milan photos became one of those moments. They appeared during the same week as the Olympic victory. They showed Matthews standing beside P. Uno while celebrating the gold medal. And the caption attached to the photos remained short but clear: "A month to remember forever." The message stayed visible while fans continued sharing the images across social media. The photos captured two developments happening at the same time. One showed Matthews celebrating an Olympic championship with Team USA. The other revealed a personal relationship that had not been publicly confirmed before. Both events occurred within the same short period, and both became part of the story surrounding Austin Matthews during the 2026 hockey season.
Yeah, I thought we started better. I don't know. I mean, just kind of lost it there. Just really disconnected throughout all three zones, and just bad, just fairly embarrassing, to be honest with you. It's just not the way we need to have more pride in our play, no matter where we're at, no matter what the situation is. We just have to have more pride in our game, and we didn't have that tonight.
Shockwaves hit the Toronto Maple Leafs locker room after a crushing 5-2 loss. Cameras were still rolling when the captain stepped forward and said words that no one expected to hear. Austin Matthews did not hold back. He called it fairly embarrassing. In that moment, everything shifted, and what he said next sent a stronger message